Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We will be doing part number 006 of the series Defeat the Shaitan, and the title of this is The Enmity is Established. Innal hamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ شُرُورِ أَنفُسِنَا وَمِنْ سَيِّئَاتِ أَعْمَالِنَا مَنْ يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ وَنَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَنَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. In the previous part, we saw that Shaitan is expelled from Jannah. Adam alayhi salam is allowed to remain in Jannah, and Allah creates his spouse Hawwa from the rib of Adam alayhi salam. Let us keep in mind that while Adam alayhi salam was created by Allah and his wife was created from the rib of Adam alayhi salam, Allah created the progeny of Adam alayhi salam differently, not from clay. The entire process has been explained in the Quran. One of the places is Surah Al-Mu'minun, Surah number 23, ayah numbers 12 to 14, and also in other surahs. Hence, it will be wrong to say that the wife of a person is created from the rib of her husband to be, as otherwise the following questions would arise. If so, what about the women who don't get married? What about those who got divorced? If the wife is elder in age to the husband, how is this possible? See, all these questions will arise. Anyway, let's proceed now. Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayah 35. The interpretation is, and we said, O Adam, dwell you and your wife in the Jannah and eat both of you freely with pleasure and delight of things therein, as wherever you will, but come not near this tree, or you both will be of the Zalimun. Zalimun refers to people who oppress. When we make something wrong, we are oppressing ourselves. Zalimun also means the wrongdoers. Now, it is difficult to imagine how huge and beautiful Jannah is. So many trees, gardens, etc. And among all of them, Allah refers to this tree, which indicates closeness. We don't know how close the tree was, but Allah clearly specified the tree by saying this tree. Imagine one tree from the millions of trees around in Jannah. It's very easy to keep away from this. Not at all difficult. Now, Surah Taha, Surah number 20, ayah number 117. Then we said, O Adam, verily this, which is the shaitan, is an enemy to you and your wife. So let him not get both of you out of paradise, so that you be distressed in misery. Now here the words out of paradise, does this refer to the paradise they were living in before being sent to earth? This refers to the time then when they would return to Allah after their stay on the earth. Okay. Now Allah warns as well in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7, ayah 27. O children of Adam, let not Shaitan deceive you, as he got your parents, that's Adam and Hawa, out of Jannah, stripping them of their raiment, to show them their private parts. Verily, he and his Khabil, that is his soldiers from the jinns or his tribe, see you from where you cannot see them. Verily, we made the shaitan, that are the devil, shayateen, the devils, the protectors and helpers for those who do not disbelieve. Yes, they were in Jannah before they were sent to earth. But remember, they were not sent to earth as a punishment. They were destined to go to the earth to be tried and tested as to what choice mankind will make, a choice that would ultimately make them return to Jannah or, na'udhu billah, accompany shaitan to Jahannam. Surah Fatir, Surah number 35, Ayah number 6. Surely shaitan is an enemy to you, so treat him as an enemy. He only invites his followers that they may become the dwellers of the blazing fire. Allah has warned of the threat of shaitan. It was a very sincere advice given to the entire mankind. Now, two questions can arise. When the shaitan was banished from Jannah, how did he entice Adam and his wife while they were in Jannah? On a lighter vein, just recall that we communicate with and we see others who are far away through Wi-Fi. So it is not difficult for Allah to arrange for ways the shaitan can whisper to Adam from remote. Okay, staying in such a lovely place as Jannah, the question arises, what is it that would entice them when they are in Jannah and they have everything that they want? In fact, more than they want. This is the multiple ways that shaitan uses to entice both of them. That's Adam and Hawa. Going to Surah Taha, Surah number 20, Ayah number 120. Then shaitan whispered to him, that's Adam alayhi salam, saying, O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of eternity and to a kingdom that will never waste away? This was the whisper of the shaitan to Adam alayhi salam. But Adam alayhi salam just rejected shaitan and did not even bother to listen to him. The shaitan has a lot of patience. He keeps on trying to whisper to Adam alayhi salam in different ways at different times, and he never gives up. This is one thing great in him. He will never give up at all. Finally, what he said was, in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7, Ayah number 21, and he, the shaitan, swore by Allah to both of them, saying, Verily, I am one of the sincere well-wishers for you both. Now look at the tactic that he uses. Allah has declared him as an enemy. This enemy goes to Adam alayhi salam again and he swears by Allah that he is a very sincere advisor and a well-wisher. Just imagine, what could you get for someone who has everything? Shaitan goes to some of the weaknesses of mankind. The eternal life, the desire to make things last forever, whatever is good to last forever, which is the tree of eternity. Now the lesson we learn from here is how many times people have approached us saying that they mean well for us, they are sincere in their wishes, and they are only interested in our well-being. And at the last moment, they take us for a ride and it is too late for us to get back. Are we not falling a prey to his tactics in our lives even now? The shaitan uses the desires of mankind. He tells Adam alayhi salam that if he eats from the tree of eternity, he will live forever. Now, look at the point here. He will live forever, which would mean that he would never die. Death can take place only in the dunya, not in Jannah. So that means he would not go to the dunya at all. As a result of which, he will continue to remain in Jannah and thereby have no tests or trials from Allah. Now, how is that for enticement? That is what the shaitan is saying here to Adam. And what did he say? He swore to them by Allah that he had their interest in mind. Now imagine swearing by Allah and giving a false hope to Adam alayhi salam. What would happen if we swear by Allah and tell something which is wrong? We have to learn lessons from this. The Quran is full of ayahs which not only give us the details, but also each ayah can give us a lesson what to do and what not to do. Now Adam and Hawa ate from the tree. They were then sent to earth as decided by Allah earlier, and the animosity was established between mankind and Iblis. There's a question that comes to mind. Was it only Hawa who ate from the tree and then Adam alayhi salam ate because she ate? Now, which of them ate first? Some faiths believe that it was Hawa who ate the fruits first, as a result of which she and all women thereafter are being punished. How? Through their monthly periods, which they go through, and the torture of carrying a child in her womb, and the pain of delivery, the agony of delivery. This is totally false. This is totally false because the ayah itself clarifies that. And the second thing is, we must remember that in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7, ayat number 73, they sought forgiveness from Allah and Allah forgave them. And once Allah has forgiven them, the sin, it's like the sin has not been committed at all. Look at the ayah in Surah Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayah number 36. Then the shaitan made them slip therefrom. It is not mentioning that both of them sinned. Both of them made a mistake or some such thing. Allah clearly mentions the shaitan made them slip therefrom. Therefrom means from paradise. And got them out from that in which they were. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, get you down all with enmity between yourselves. On earth will be a dwelling place for you and an enjoyment for a time. Now, look at the implications of shaitan as our enemy. He continues to be our enemy from birth to death. The moment a child is born, shaitan expresses his hatred for the children of Adam. There is a hadith which mentions, there is none born among the offspring of Adam, but shaitan touches it. A child therefore cries loudly at the time of birth because of the touch of shaitan. The only exception here is Maryam alayhi salam and her son Isa alayhi salam. This is clearly mentioned in Surah Al-Imran, Surah number 3, ayah number 36. Then when she delivered her child, that is when Maryam was born, she said, that's her mother said, "Oh my Lord, I have delivered a female child." And Allah knew better what she delivered. And the male is not like the female, and I have named her Maryam. That is the mother of Maryam says it. And she says, I seek refuge with you, Allah, for her and for her offsprings from shaitan, the outcast. This dua of Maryam's mother does not allow the shaitan to touch Maryam and her son Isa alayhi salam. All of the prophets were exempt from the poke of the shaitan. Now let us see how the shaitan acts on us to waylay us and get us in the wrong direction. The shaitan always tries to ruin our salah. There's a hadith, if the call to prayer is made, the shaitan runs away, breaking wind loudly. When the adhan is over, he comes back. When the iqama is completed, he comes and whispers to a man or woman in his ear. He comes between a person and his heart and says, remember such and such. Can you think of this? Can you think of that? Until the person who is making the salah does not remember how many rakas he has prayed. Or he gets easily diverted, is not able to concentrate. He is not able to have khushu' in his salah. If any one of you notices that, the Prophet ﷺ said, let him prostrate twice, which is known as sajda suhu, the prostration of forgetfulness. The adhan and iqama are very powerful against the shaitan. Sometimes the rahi, the one who is doing ruqya for another person, or a person when he does ruqya for himself, will use the time between adhan and iqama to do the ruqya. It is a time of humiliation for the shaitan, and sometimes he loses control over himself. This tells us the importance of our heart in our prayer, the necessity of khushu, because that is the area where the shaitan attacks. Now, shaitan comes to a person even at his deathbed. When Ahmad ibn Hanbal was on his deathbed, he was asked to say the Shahada, La ilaha illallah. All that he was saying was La, La, which means no, no. And when reminded again, he would say La ba'ad, La ba'ad. That means not yet, not yet. For a moment he regained consciousness, and his sons asked him why he said that when they reminded him to say La ilaha illallah. He said, I felt the shaitan say to me, you have made it, you are successful, you have won, you are going to Jannah. Till the very last moment, Imam Ahmad was protecting himself from the shaitan. Now we'll go further and how the shaitan tries to distract us and acts against us in our next talk, inshaAllah. Allahumma inna nas'aluka imanam mustaqima wa fadlan da'ima wa nazar al-rahma wa ilman nafi'ah wa aqlan kamila wa qalban munawwara wa tawfiqan ihsana wa tawbatan nasuha wa sabran jamila wa ajran azima wa lisanan dhakira wa badnan sabira wa rizqan wasi'ah wa sa'yan mashkura wa zamban maghfura wa amalan maqbula wa du'aan mustajaba برحمتك يا وجنة الفردوس نعيما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.